Guys, welcome back. My name is Natalie. If we're looking at what Ethereum did since yesterday, we did actually break this trend line that I did have here. We broke to the upside, came back down and retested it, and now it just broke this resistance that I did have here on 3440. What potentially can happen now, obviously something that I'm gonna share with you and where I find my entries. There's a lot of people that have been asking me about my Fibonacci, so I'm actually gonna show you on how I use it, and I'm also gonna make sure that you can screenshot my settings on how I use the Fibonacci. Please remember that I am no financial advisor, so please look everything up yourself first. Continue watching this video. I'm gonna show you exactly what I see. Looking at Bitcoin on the daily, we can see that this candle that we had yesterday did engulf 6 days. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 days. And it did close above the 47,000. And we did come back down and retested it, and then it did continue to the upside. If we're going down on the 4-hour, we can actually see the retest that was happening. And we could see that it did happen during this day at 5 o'clock in the morning. This is London time. So we did have this huge candle to the upside, came back down and retested it, and then now it continues to the upside. So hopefully we will continue being above 47,000 right now. I was talking about this previous lower high, that it might just come back down and retest. It never came down there. That's okay. You always need to have more options than one, because the market can do crazy things, right? So we need to be sure about where the market can come to, and we can react to that. But right now the market did continue up. And if we're looking at the lower time frames to see how it looks, combining these two, so this is the same area on the lower time frame as it is on the 4-hour on the left side, and you can see that we did come back down here, and after that the market just spiked up. What I see on Bitcoin is if it comes back down here again and retest it could definitely do that. If we're looking at higher time frames to see where the market potentially can come to before it retrace, I mean, it has different types of areas right now where the market can come to. If we're looking at the daily, this is an area as where the market is right now. You can see right here. This is a previous resistance that the market can come into and then react to in some way. Or the market can just continue to the upside. You can also see this as an area where the market has been a lot, where the market can come to before it reacts to it. Obviously the market will not, it can, I'm not gonna say it can't, because you know how it works. Right now the market is on its way up here, just might come back down and slowly start to do higher highs and higher low, because obviously right now we did break this consolidation and the market decided to break the resistance. Can come back down again before it continues up. If it's just gonna continue, the only thing that we can do is wait for the pullback. Right now there's no pullback right now, so we just have to wait and see. You had double bottoms right here on the lower time frames. You have the neckline right here on the 47595 area. I do believe the market will come back down a little bit more. But if we're looking at the lower time frames, if I want to see the market come back down and retest it one more time, I could definitely see this is an area for the market to come back down to. But you can see that I already did touch it 1 time, 2 times. But this is also a previous resistance turning into a support. So if the market comes back down again, obviously that's when we want to see if the market is reacting to it, just like it does right here. So on Bitcoin right now, we are just moving up to the upside, which is very good, but we need the pullback, and that's the one we are waiting for. On the lower time frames, obviously we will see it on the higher time frames and on the lower time frames at the same time. Looking at Ethereum on the daily, we could also see that we did have this engulfing candle that closed. We did close above 3401 the market came back down and retested it, and you can see that on the lower time frames, I did put up this trend line yesterday, and I told you guys that it might just come back down and retest it. It did this morning too, at 5 o'clock in the morning, and we're going down on the lower time frames to see how that looks. That this was the retest that we did have, and if we saw that one, we could definitely have taken the Fibonacci from the low 3367 to the high, and that's 3409. The market came back down and retested Fibonacci levels 50 and 61, and then it did continue to the upside. It broke this resistance at 3401 and came back up and retested it as a support, and it did continue to the upside. So this was very perfect. You can also see on the higher time frames that the market did close as a doji, so that's also a perfect way to see an entry. On Ethereum, we're also just very high up. You can see that I was talking about this zone right here. We retested the previous high, and the market spiked into it, and then it did continue. And we also had the Fibonacci that I was putting up on yesterday, came back down, and again it retested the Fibonacci levels and the previous resistance at 3355 and just spiked up again. To have this as an entry is really good, because that's how I get my wick entries. It's on the Fibonacci levels that I'm using. For Ethereum and Bitcoin right now, obviously we need a pullback because we're just heading right up. We can use the Fibonacci on the higher time frames too, just to make sure. And it was actually someone who asked me, I think it was Pamela, who asked me on how to use the Fibonacci, or how I use it, if you take these ones away so it's not so much on the chart. So everyone does it differently. I do it my way, so there's nothing right or nothing wrong. But what I do is I take it from, if I see a low like this, doesn't matter what time frame I use. You can use it on the weekly, 4 hour, 2 hour, 5 minutes even. So, but what I do use is I use the previous low and the previous high together, and that's how I find my zone on my Fibonacci levels. And sometimes they're accurate for a long time, but obviously you want to use new ones because the market is always moving, so you always want to move with the market. But you could definitely have used it from here. And it depends. I mean, this is something that you have to train yourself, because right now, if I told you I'm using the previous low to the previous high, so that would be this one, this low to this high. I wouldn't do that. I would have taken it from this low to this high, because this is too tight and it doesn't look good. But that's usually what I do. I'm taking it from the low. I can show you how it looks on the hour. And I can also use this one. So, but I always use it from a low to a high. You can see the market never came back down here. So you don't have to wait forever for the market to come back down here. So you always have to follow price and see where the market actually comes. For this one, for example, this is a perfect one from the low to the high. Did it look the same? Yeah, that was the same on the 2 hour. See if I see something more. And if we are taking it from a if we are taking it as a sell opportunity, you take it from the high to the low, from this high to this low, and then the market comes back up to the 50 and 61% area. So as I always from a low to a high if I'm gonna buy the market, and always from the high to the low if I'm gonna sell the market. So that's how I use my Fibonacci. And as I told you, you can use it on the lower time frames too. Here for example, from the low to the high, from the low to the high, market came back down and retested it. So obviously I'm taking the Fibonacci before this even happened, but I want to see some rejection. So I want to see the market coming back down. I need a I need a bearish candlestick to the downside for me to find my high where I can put my Fibonacci levels to it. So these two, after this candle closed, I can definitely take it. This is what I use on my fib. So you can take a screenshot of this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's how I use my Fibonacci levels. The market can come back to these levels for a couple of times, depending on what time frame you're using. As obviously, if you're using a higher time frame, obviously that's a stronger level. Higher time frame, the more respected, obviously. If the market decides to go into an uptrend and it just continues up, we need to find the Fibonacci levels quick on the lower time frames for us to be able to jump into the market when it's moving so fast. Obviously, if I have a huge Fibonacci on the 4-hour, the market will not come back down to it because it's on its way up. So that's why I use the lower time frames. I hope you learned something about the Fibonacci levels, and I hope you screenshot it. But this is how I use it, and you have to train yourself. But on the overall picture right now on Bitcoin and Ethereum, we need the market to come back down a bit because it just broke the previous resistance. That's good. That was something that we did expect and we were waiting for. So we wanted to come back down again to our resistance levels. Please like this video, subscribe to my channels, and we'll go through these pairs every day together. Trade with risk management. Bye bye.